been feeling a little bit stressed out lately, maybe you feel like you need a little escape, a little getaway from the day-to-day stresses, and with summer being right here, I feel like we all deserve like a little, a little pick-me-up. So today's video is gonna do just that. We are going to take a little art vacation, and I hope you pack your bags. No, there's no packing of bags necessary for this, because guess what? We're gonna do it all from our work desks, and we're gonna do it with watercolors. And in this video, we'll take it a step further and use this as an opportunity to explore the world of color theory. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna draw inspiration from one of the greats, Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse, I gotta say it the right way. So you know what comes next, art history time. Henri Matisse was a French artist known for his really masterful use of color. And he was born in 1869 and began his artistic career as a painter in the late 1890s that is. And guess what? Before becoming an artist, he actually was a lawyer. I'm not kidding. So he got appendicitis and he was bedridden for a year. And that's what got him to pick up a paintbrush for the first time. And so we really owe the genius of Matisse to a case of appendicitis. So throughout his career, Matisse tried many different ways of making art before coming up with his own voice, which became so iconic that it's honestly really easy to recognize his work when you see it in museums, in books, pretty much everywhere. And today, Matisse is going to help us practice color theory, a subject that's always a little bit challenging and maybe a bit scary for many artists. That's why we're going on an art vacation. We're lowering the stakes so that you can just focus on learning color theory techniques, letting go, and just enjoying the whole process. Consider it like a little mini vacation. So, are you in? I hope so, because we're getting started in 3, 2, welcome to my desk. And here's the artwork we're going to be basing this session on. It's a painting called The Open Window, and it's a painting that shows the view from Matisse's window in the south of France. And he actually did a whole series of these with different windows, different places, and when I was looking through one of my art history books, this painting jumped out to me because the color is so bold, so unapologetically strong. I figured that with summer, we could all use a little more color in our lives. So this is Matisse's take on his window, but I want you to put your own spin on it. Where do you want to go on vacation? I'm going to Lake Como with mine, but you can choose any destination you like. Let your heart guide you. Want to head to Fiji or the African Serengeti or maybe the beaches of Bali? 3 words. Go for it. Let's talk materials. Today I'm using M-Gram watercolors, and we're going to be talking about M-Gram in a couple of weeks when I do my top 10 of that brand of watercolors, so stay tuned. I'll be laying down my sketch with this Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2 pastel stick. I love these because they're really buttery, so as you start to apply water to your sketch, those lines are just going to melt in and you're not going to have any pencil lines or graphite whatsoever, which is really important for a painting like this, which is going to be all about very bold, bright colors. You can just use a regular pencil or a watercolor pencil if you have that on hand, but I highly recommend picking up a couple of these if you can in a red, a blue, and a yellow, so your primary colors if possible. Speaking of colors, I'm going to be limiting myself to 8 colors. And in this palette, I have Viridian, Ultramarine Pink, Pyrrole Orange, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Anthraquinone Blue, Gamboge, and Naphthol Red. And all of these are from M-Gram, a brand I have been obsessed with recently. More details to come in the weeks to follow, I promise. I would definitely recommend picking out your colors before you start painting and limiting your palette to 8 or so colors. We're going to be going with a complementary color palette. I did a video recently about how to use color theory in practice, so if this whole complementary lingo sounds foreign to you, I would suggest checking out that video so you know how to pick those colors out. Let's start by drawing an open window. Mine is going to be looking out on a landscape of Lake Como, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, with the mountains in the background. And you guys, this is where I wish I could wake up on vacation. I would have breakfast in bed waiting for me, maybe some delicious pastries, So yeah, we're on vacation. This geometry of the open window panes and window are going to be the foundation for the whole painting. And the great thing about a window scene is that the eye of the viewer automatically gets drawn in, which I think Matisse used masterfully on this. So what we're going to do is take a page from his book and use a phenomenon known as color perception to show depth in this painting. The way our eyes process color and information, cool colors tend to look farther away from us than warm colors. So we're going to make the room mostly warm colors and the window view mostly cool colors. And you're going to see just how much it makes a difference in creating an illusion of depth. So let's get the ball rolling and start with backgrounds. I'm starting with ultramarine pink and pairing it with this fabulous, yummy naphthol red, which is, I really wish you could see this in person. It's like a watermelon red. Let's stay loose with this, and please do not worry about perfection or any preconceived notions of what you want to get out of this. Allow yourself to breathe, to relax, and to escape. Take it as a mini vacation away from any pressure or expectations that are going on in your life right now. Lord knows we all have them, but right now is all about you and what you need at this moment. As for me, what do I need? I, for one, need color. That's what I need. Okay, so while we're painting these backgrounds, here's a little pro tip. One of the best ways to improve your painting can be boiled to one word: diversity. AKA, not letting anything get too one note or monotonous. So whenever possible, think of adding light areas and dark areas. Saturated versus desaturated, small brush strokes versus big ones. Variety is the spice of life, folks, and the same can be true for your painting. I am loving how the pink bleeds into the red, and you have these gorgeous moments that remind me of hand-painted walls that you might find in a small village somewhere along the Mediterranean. All right, that's good. So what we're gonna do while that's drying is we're gonna jump into the middle area and start painting the landscape. I'm starting with the sky and going from light to dark, and I'm using my blue and a touch of Viridian and soft, quick brush strokes to create a painterly sky that's taken straight out of the Impressionists' playbook. Just like Matisse, I'm planning to have some plants in my space. Before painting them though, I'm adding a greenish background for some of my hills, which will later be covered by the plants. I'll keep the lower half of the painting lighter to account for the plants so it doesn't get too dark, and I recommend that you do the same thing too. If you're wondering how on earth this is going to come together, just be patient and give it some time to marinate, as I like to say. It will come together, but we're not there yet. Right now, we're just setting the foundation. It's like trying to judge a cake by looking at the batter. You don't know how it's going to end up, so if you're looking at it and thinking, oh gosh, it looks really messy, don't worry too much. It will come together eventually, I promise. I think I'll add a little bit of green up here, maybe some blue for the window panes. We're using the same colors as what we're using in the window view because the idea is that the glass panes are reflecting what's going on outside. I've added about 4 window panes here, but you can add more or less at your discretion. For the floor and the inside of the room, I feel like maybe our eyes need an area to rest because the walls are so strong. We need a break. So to do that, I'm going to mix orange with green to neutralize them both, and that gets me to a really delicate earth tone that's going to be perfect for the floor. At this point, the paper is really wet, so we're going to let it dry completely before returning to it. So go on and get a little stretch, go outside, get a breath of fresh air, get a cookie, get a snack, and come back when you're ready and when the paper is dry to the touch. Okay, we're back. And now we're going to play with color and juxtaposition. Here's where we're going to embrace our inner Matisse and make some bold choices. Don't be scared, we're doing this together. For these window panes, we're going to pick up some bold colors. I have my number 6 brush, and I'm going to start painting the frames of these windows. A red on this side, and then maybe, I don't know, an orange on the other. I feel like these colors are going to deliver a Muhammad Ali style 1-2 punch in the face. Muhammad Ali isn't your jam, maybe it's Manny Pacquiao. I don't know, but it's gonna be strong, that's all I can say. Don't worry if your frame isn't perfect, just go with the flow, focusing on what interesting colors you can put next to each other. In this style, I find it's really useful to think of each area of color as pieces in a puzzle. So you can't solve a puzzle by trying to do everything at once. First, you need to see what little piece fits into the next piece. And once you have one area done, you can move on to the next area, and slowly, bit by bit, the larger puzzle will be solved. And to me at least, I think it's amazing what interesting combinations you can get by putting certain colors adjacent to other ones, and what pops, what doesn't, and why. And just this exercise alone of looking at the interactions between colors can teach you so much. So, what do I want to do next? Maybe we can work on some of the parts down here while the window panes are drying. To begin with, I'm going to add a hill in the background. When working back to front, it's really important to use a larger brush for the background. So I'm going to use green to create the hill, making it wet so that it blends with some blues to create a really stunning wet on wet effect. So now that we have one hill, I'm going to grab some pink and, surprise, add another hill below it. This doesn't have to be realistic, by the way. It can be whatever you want. So let's embrace color and embrace a little freedom too. However, the paper is still a little bit wet, so I need to be patient and let it dry before moving on. So let's let that area dry a bit. Now let's move on to the flower pots on the balcony. Maybe I'll add a pop of color with a red pot right here. And this next one will be broader, and I'm going to try to vary the sizes of the pots. Remember what I said about variation? That applies to these flower pots too. So let's add some diversity in shape and in size in both the pots and the actual plants. Going from small to large, let's do some greenish yellow to maybe deeper tones. Maybe some of them have flowers and other ones don't. I want my balcony garden to be a feast for the eyes. While that's drying, I think I might want to add some blue up here for the clouds. Another pro tip for you is that you get bonus points if you can work in some of the colors from the room in a subtle way into the middle. Just a hint, just a whisper of that color like I'm doing here by adding some ultramarine pink to the sky. You see it's barely visible, but that very faint connection to the outer edge of the painting is creating a necessary link between the outside and the inside. So keep going and fill in that landscape, adding whatever elements or landmarks you like. Maybe it's the red earth of the Australian outback, or maybe you have forests, or maybe a jungle on your hands. Keep going, you've got this. Even if you don't like what's going on your page, or maybe you feel like you messed up somewhere along the way, you're learning something new. And I don't know about you, but in my opinion, the lesson that you take away is worth so much more than a perfect painting. In fact, it is priceless. Our last leg of the painting will be to add another element that Matisse played with a lot in this piece, and generally speaking with most of his artwork. We are going to work with vibration. No, pull your mind out of the gutter, silly. Vibration in this context refers to the discomfort you experience when two colors of somewhat similar value but different hues are placed next to each other. Don't ask me where the term comes from, it's just known as vibration. Let me show you how it works. If I place a yellow here, it creates an uncomfortable but noticeable moment in the area next to it. If you have a window or line with a bright color, you can add vibration by adding a color right next to it that's of a different hue, but also very highly saturated. For example, maybe a red down here, or a bit of orange over there. The combination of colors at the points where they meet can be uncomfortable, yet they draw your attention to these areas. It's even more dramatic when you go for complementary colors like red next to blue or red next to green. And in my opinion, it creates these amazing, magical moments. And the key with them is to not go overboard. You want to save these for very specific moments and instances in your painting. Let's start by creating brush marks alternating from green to yellow. Be quick and expressive about it. Remember, there is no such thing as perfection. Don't even try to achieve it. Perfection doesn't exist, and in fact, it will hinder your progress. Now let's work on the smaller ones up here, and next we can maybe add or create another plant. It's up to you to decide which kind of plant to create. And again, I'm going to brainstorm for you because I'm nice like that. Just kidding. You could put a sunflower, maybe some succulents, a cactus if you're doing somewhere in the Southwest maybe. And as we keep working on the painting, you'll notice that there's a nearly childlike quality to it. It's vivid, it's colorful, and inspired. Childlike, not in the kindergarten sense of the word, but in the Museum of Modern Art kind of way. Matisse actually really loved this quality, and historically, it was a very stark departure from the realism of traditional art during this time period, and it allowed artists' style of painting to focus on the emotional impact of their work rather than technical accuracy. And I am all down for that. I'm going to add some trees and some boats, saving my smallest brush and my most intricate details for the end. Let's weave in a couple of last color hotspots to tie the outside with the inside and the inside with the outside, and by now you already know where we're going with this artist. Sometimes it's kind of hard to know when to walk away. A couple more touches, it's so easy to keep going and going, don't you think? And you totally could, I guess. I mean, if you were painting with oils, I would just say keep going and keep building. But the problem with watercolors is that while layering is good, if you go overboard, you can end up dulling your painting. So it's all about finding that Goldilocks spot of adding just enough to make it look visually interesting, but not too much that it takes away from the radiance of the piece. One last detail. I feel like a touch of yellow here could help because it's kind of implying that we're getting reflections going on in the water, and the water is reflected in the windows and vice versa, and everything's kind of reflecting light in unexpected ways. Okay, so all in all, I think we have a very lovely painting. These moments at the bottom here with just the light being cast in these gorgeous pastels, I think that might just be my favorite part of the painting so far. Now, no matter what the outcome, before we end this session, choose a bright color, something that hopefully sticks out, sign your painting, and we're done. Wasn't that so much fun? So I hope this video gave you an opportunity to stretch yourself beyond the confines of your own limitations, and that it encouraged you to maybe try some different color combinations, some different things that might have been daunting or a little bit scary to do on a piece that you're trying to perfect. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe for more amazing art content just like this. At least I think it's amazing. Pat me back. As always, thank you so much for watching and for joining me on these art videos, and I will see you in the next one.